people say Black Clover doesn't have character development, then show them Asta. This shonen character went from a screaming wizard brat to a soldier who can end battles with one sword strike. As the path to becoming the Wizard King becomes more and more clear for Asta, let's take a look at 10 of his best moments in the anime. Here we go. At number 10, we're going to look at Asta versus Voltos. Back in the day, Asta used to scream a lot, but he still managed to get the job done. This was one of those moments. When Yami was busy with another opponent, he told Asta to fight another battle for him. Being the battle-hardened shonen protagonist he is, Asta didn't deny it. But charging straight at an opponent is not always the way to win. Asta first charges to attack Voltos, only to get surrounded by portals and hit with the brigade. Finally, Asta learns the trick of success and, throwing his sword away, uses his fist to continue the rest of the fight. And then it only takes one punch to bring Voltos down. Cheers to Asta for finally figuring out you can always win a battle by using your brain a little. With number 9, we've got Asta one-shotting Seke. Do you know, the best way to teach prideful people a lesson? You punch them on their head with a sword. Okay, this might not work in the real world, but it sure works in the universe of Black Clover. Asta at first greeted his opponent with respect, but his opponent, on the other hand, wasn't one to share the same mentality. He was prideful, cold, and seriously deserved some punching. And Asta, instead of throwing punches, one-shot Seke in the head, and then the man is down like a rock. If this trend continues, we'll have to give the mantle of the One Punch Man to Asta. At number 8, we're gonna look at Asta versus Spade Soldiers.
Dama!
While other heroes get taller after a time skip, Asta grows wider and stronger. Everything, from his entrance to his final attack, showed how powerful he had become after the time skip. The soldiers first think of him as another intruder, but when he completely shatters the armor on one soldier and beats the hell out of another, they start to take him seriously. But being serious isn't enough to stop Asta, because even with poison fed to him, this boy rose up and slashed a soldier's basilisk breath in one single sword strike. Asta really should stop ending fights in one hit at this point. Number 7, Asta, awakening his power. All of us should leave off a good first impression if we plan to become the future Wizard King, right? Well, Asta didn't have much of a brain back in the day and resort to screaming and punching if things go wrong. It wasn't a surprise to receive a grimoire, but a villain always has to step forward to bring out the hidden power of the main character. Just like Noel, Asta shows his potential when his friend's life is on the line. He awakens a damaged black grimoire with the legendary 5-leaf clover, and screaming the words of every shonen protagonist, he punches the man to a wall. The black grimoire symbolized the devil, so no wonder his opponent looked scared when the screaming boy started punching. Number 6, Asta versus Mars. Once again, we have a moment where Asta shines as a classical shonen protagonist. This was earlier in the series, and at that point, Mars was considered a powerful character since he stood above many characters in the power hierarchy. When Yuno refuses to surrender and is about to die, our main character steps into the game. The same formula repeats, and through finding Mars, Asta learns how to defeat him as well. Then he screams his motivational words about how he's the pebble that shatters diamonds and then starts to get serious. The boy once again makes a comeback, this time punching through Mars's armor and knocking him unconscious. This was much earlier in the series, and even though Asta wasn't very smart back then, this fight once again helped him understand what it's like to think strategically during a fight. With number 5, we've got Asta and Team versus Demon. This is one of those moments where we got to see how much Asta had developed as a character. He now thinks strategically during the fight, but he also makes sure to work together with his team. He's no longer the screaming brat we saw in episode 1, and the rest of the cast has also been given great arcs and stories to make them stand out from the crowd. Now, pit all of these characters against one major threat, and as you guessed it, what came out was epic. The first part of the fight did great by slowly lifting up the stakes, but that's all until Asta takes charge. The battle follows the regular shonen battle formula, but it's safe to say that it never gets old. We all screamed with hype as Asta launched the final attack and killed the demon. Number 4, Asta and Yuno versus Licht. What is the best way to show how much the main characters have developed in terms of physical strength throughout the story? You put them in a fight with the strongest villain and lay the foundation with the average battle shonen formula. Licht is not a person to be taken lightly, and as soon as he enters the fight, he doesn't hesitate to prove it. But let's not forget the power of these two brothers. When these two join forces, they're powerful enough to break even the barriers of Licht. The battle starts off with both releasing rapid attacks and ends with Asta's one mighty blow. Asta once again proved that he could stand toe-to-toe even with the most powerful villain in the series with just one big-ass sword as a weapon. Number 3, Asta versus Ladros. When you can't win the fight by yourself, you call the inner demon within you. Luckily for Asta, he has a real demon within him. Remember how Asta one-punched a prideful Seke? Well, this is the same fight, but with more magic and demons. Ladros at first looked like the guy who could take down all the Black Bulls alone, but that's until the main character called for a power-up. Asta finally managed to gain the upper hand in his battle with Ladros and destroyed his implanted magical stones to defeat him. See, having a demon inside you is a good thing. We have both Naruto and Asta as good examples. With number 2, we've got Asta and Team Black Bulls versus Veto. Every now and then comes a big boss in shonen anime, where the main character and his supporting cast have to go beyond their limits to defeat. This was the case with Veto, but Asta seems to be no challenge for Veto. But this is where anime power-ups come in handy. You know the rule. When you can't defeat the opponent yourself, you call for backup. And this backup is the Demon's Roller Sword plus Yuno's words. With this, our Screaming Wizard gets back at speed and shows Veto what a final attack looks like. By the time the last hit landed, Veto was still wondering how the boy got his demon powers. This is another one of those moments Asta showed us. He can do something more than just screaming. And finally, at number 1, we have Asta versus Dante. Topping our list, we have the recent fight of Asta and Dante. Dante came to the Bulls base expecting Yami, but he surely wouldn't have thought Yami's student would give him such a challenge. Dante first brags about his power and how he plans on making Vanessa his mistress, but all words are clogged to his throat when Asta uses his demon powers. When Dante releases his devil powers, so did Asta, and the two went head on to a full duel with action and suspense. You even got some logic thrown about humans every now and then. And can we also take a moment to appreciate how Asta managed to finish Dante with Yami's sword? If things go like this, no one would be surprised if Asta grows up to be a second Yami. So, there goes 10 of the best Asta moments in Black Clover. If I miss anything, drop a comment below and do our Screaming Wizard some justice. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can be updated as soon as we release a new video. Stay safe, anime fans, and I'll see you in the next video.